Acton in Focus is brought to you by Enterprise Bank.
Welcome to Acton in Focus. I'm Vivian Kopsinger-Birchall, your host, and my special guest is Sherry Kenin from Minutemen ARC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Vivian.
It's great to have you here. Minutemen ARC has been here, has been in the area for quite a while, and through the years there's been some changes. But before we get into that, could you please tell us who you are, what you do at Minutemen ARC, and what brings you here today?
Certainly. My name is Sherry Kenin. I am the director of Minutemen ARC's Extra Step Pediatric Therapies, as well as also the director of our Timbernook Outdoor Nature Children's Program. I'm an occupational therapist by profession, and I've been with Minutemen ARC for 10 years. I started out working in our early intervention program, and then when we started the pediatric therapy program for children ages 3 through 22, I was tapped as the director of that program.
Yeah, so can you tell us more about Extra Steps? What exactly does that program do?
Absolutely. So we work with children providing occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech language therapy, feeding groups, social skills groups, parent coaching and education for local children with special needs, particularly developmental needs in our local community.
And is there an age limit to the program?
We start at age 3, which is when early intervention works with children from 0 to age 3. We pick up at age 3 along with the public schools, and we go up through age 22.
All right, so and there's been some changes with your Extra Steps program. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. So we started our program in the afternoons in our early intervention building while we built out a facility just for us. We do a lot of sensory focused therapy, sensory processing, which involves a lot of hanging equipment, swings, a lot of gym equipment. We're working on getting kids vestibular input, proprioceptive input, body awareness, and kids need to really move to get that type of input. So you really need a gym. So we started out for about a year in our early intervention in the afternoons, and then we moved to Acton, to our new spot there. We were there 5 years. Our lease just came up, and so we've now moved to Maynard, and we're in the old clock tower, the old digital building. It's a very historic building, which is very interesting. It has a lot of history. That's where they made woolen uniforms for years during the Civil War. Digital was in there at one point, so it's really a unique and interesting building as well.
And in terms of the clientele that you've heard over the years, what has the trend been like? What towns do many of your clients come from? And just what are some of those trends?
Yeah, well, I'm an Acton resident myself, and we have many children from Acton families. They are really our highest percentage of children. We have a lot from Concord, from Carlisle, Maynard, Littleton, Stowe, Westford, all of the greater surrounding areas, Bedford, Lincoln. We pull from all those areas, but our big concentration is Acton, then Concord, Carlisle, Littleton, and Maynard is our big pull area.
And then if I just went a little deeper into the clientele, what kind of, type of clientele do you have? What are their symptoms? What is it that you work with?
So we work with children with sensory processing issues, which means sensory information comes into your body and there can be a disconnect at that point. Then it's processed by your brain and there can be a disconnect at that point. And then there's an output reaction and there can be a disconnect. So there can be a disconnect at any of those 3 points. And it causes children, it interferes with their daily lives, with their dressing, with their feeding, with their movement, with their attention span, can cause anxiety issues down the road. So we work with that. We work with children with a diagnosis of ADHD, with a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, with a diagnosis of anxiety. And for a while, autism spectrum disorder was our biggest diagnosis usually that we saw, along with sensory processing, which can be a piece of autism spectrum disorder. But since COVID, we have a lot of anxiety. A lot of our children in our community are anxious, and so we also work with those children as well. Our psych community, our mental health community, has been really overtapped in working with these children, and it's something that we can do and help serve as well. So we do that. We work with children with cerebral palsy, Down syndrome.
And you just mentioned something about, the anxiety in our community. If you don't mind me, what are some, in your practice, or what have you seen as the symptoms, not the symptoms, the causes of some of these anxieties?
If I could answer that, I'd be on national TV. But we can point to a variety of things.
Okay.
So we have the increase in diagnosis of developmental delays, which is a good thing because we can get children help before it expands and becomes a really big issue. So kids are just being diagnosed more and being treated more, which is good. It's a good thing. We have COVID and children being at home. We've had children, your teachers can speak to this as well, that for the first several years of their life never saw an individual outside of their family. And granted, that was a good thing. We were protecting our children, but it also comes with consequences. And the consequences are they're frightened a bit by the outside world because they were not slowly introduced to the outside world. So then once they were sent to school, preschool, daycare, after being at home for 2 or 3 years, it was, all of a sudden, wow, who are these people? What is going on? Their sensory system that I spoke about did not get a slow, gradual introduction to all of this input. The rise of increasing screens, that's always an issue. The decrease of outside child play, increase of parents being fearful, and understandably, of letting their children play outside, play with other friends. So as most social issues, there's not one answer to that question.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that answer because, yes, people are still studying.
Yes, they are.
That's an area that's still under study. But, some of the things you've explained could also relate to adults. I think we are seeing a lot of anxiety among adults as well.
Absolutely.
But we need an extra steps perhaps for adults.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, but that said, is there anything that we haven't yet discussed that you'd like to tell our viewers about your Extra Steps program?
Yes, so we did move to Millen, Maine, and I really want people to know that we are still here. We're still in the community. We're only 7 minutes from where we were prior to moving in January. So we're still here. We're still serving clients. We still have a lot of great programs, and we want people to be able to find us. We used to be on the main street in Acton. Now we're in the mill. We love the mill, but people don't know we're there. You don't drive by the mill and know we're there. So we're still here. Our early intervention program is moving to Acton. They're going to be on 2A in the Strawberry Hill office complex. So I kind of want to give a shout out to them. And our Timbernook Outdoor Nature program is moving behind Nagog Mall, right on the Acton-Westford line. So we have a lot of movement going, but it's still in the local community. And I really want people to know we're still here. We're still here to serve you, and please reach out.
And you mentioned reaching out. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
So they can email us at info@extra steps.org, or they can call us 978-287-7878.
Well, Sherry, that is great what you're doing for our community, for our children in our community. Minutemen ARC has been a signature program in our community with all that they do. So thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
Thank
we
you
really
for-
appreciate your time.
No, thank you for giving us the kind of heads up on where you have moved. I hope our parents pay attention and actually follow you there. And those who have children who have a need, don't feel free, please, to reach out to Sherry and her team so that your children can get the service that they need. But for now, thank you for watching Acton in Focus. Till next time.